5 possessions in the red zone. Out of those 5 possessions, the Packers only scored 1 touchdown. If you want to win in the NFL, you have to score touchdowns in the red zone and not come away with field goals and turnovers. Here we are again, yet another week and another Packers loss, as the Packers drop one to the Steelers 23-19. The Packers are now 3-6 and sit basically at the bottom of the NFC North, along with the Bears. But let's just keep it a secret that the Bears actually do still suck. A lot of positives to come out of this game, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but there are still mistakes being made that the Packers need to fix. These are the same mistakes that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. But let's start out with the good. The Packers offense actually scored on their first drive of the game. Now, this is the first time they've done this since week 1 of the NFL season, which was against the Chicago Bears. And the drive ended the same way it did against the Bears, with a touchdown to Romeo Doubs. Another good thing coming out of this game are the 3 young receivers that stepped up during the game. Looking at the stats, the Packers' top 3 receivers in the game were all rookies. Jayden Reed led the way for the Packers in receiving, with 5 catches for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. Luke Musgrave came in second, with 2 catches for 64 yards. Dontayvion Wicks came in third, with 3 catches for 51 yards. Most importantly, the Packers scored 13 points in the first half, and it seemed like the offense was back on track. Jordan Love let it rip the whole game. He wasn't afraid to throw that deep ball at all. He ended the game 20 for 41 for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. And surprisingly, it was A.J. Dillon who got the running game going, and not Aaron Jones. Dillon had 9 carries for 70 yards, including a 40-yard run, which is his longest of his career. But along with those positives came some negatives as well, which really cost the Packers the game. First and foremost, the Packers had 5 possessions in the red zone. Out of all those 5 possessions, only 1 of them ended in a touchdown. The other 4 ended either in a turnover or a field goal. My point here is the Packers need to work on the red zone offense. You can't settle for field goals, and you can't turn the ball over in the red zone, especially in a close game like this. Another negative coming out of this game was Aaron Jones, and the fact that he was a non-factor during the whole game. Yes, the Packers fed him the ball. He had 13 carries, but he only had 35 yards and 2.7 yards per carry. He was a non-factor in the receiving game as well. He only had 4 receptions for 19 yards. And it looks like the special teams bug is back to bite us again, as the Packers had an extra point blocked in Sunday's game against the Steelers. Josiah DeGuara missed a block, which resulted in the blocked extra point, and that extra point could have been useful at the end of the game. Instead of the Packers driving for a game-winning touchdown, they could have been driving for a game-tying field goal, setting the game into overtime. It's the little things that the Packers need to fix. But that little thing turned into a big thing, costing the Packers the game. And lastly, the Packers' run defense was horrible on Sunday. A week after only allowing 68 yards on the ground to the Rams, they allowed 205 yards rushing to the Steelers. Jaylen Warren had over 100 yards, and Najee Harris had 82 yards on the ground. The Packers really need to step up their run defense. It's truly inconsistent. One week they're good, and the next week they're allowing over 200 yards rushing. Now we look ahead to next week's game against the Chargers, who have a very young, good quarterback in Justin Herbert, and a highly powered offense. But their record doesn't show that. They are 4-5, and just recently they lost to the Lions and gave up over 40 points. I think it will be a close game. I think the Packers offense will possibly just match the Chargers offense, but I do see the Chargers winning this game. My final score will be 28-24, Chargers with the win. I do think that the Packers will keep making strides on offense. I just don't think, though, that the defense can handle Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and the highly powered offense with the Chargers. I think the Packers defense has a lot to handle here with Justin Herbert. You got Austin Eckler, you got Keenan Allen. Again, I think it's just too much for the Packers defense to handle. But again, I don't think that the Packers will win, but they can prove me wrong. So Packers, prove me wrong. And hopefully maybe next week when I make this video, I can say that I was wrong.